Hi everyone, I'm Louisa Dickins, CEO and co-founder of 𝐿 and welcome to today's vlog. So I'm joined by the one and only Jeff, who is a Chief AI Officer and co-founder of MetaProp Lab. So the gap between AI leaders and laggards is widening. So if you're a CEO of a mid-market real estate firm ready to move from strategy to execution, this video is going to be for you. You've got to learn from it. So Jeff's going to be sharing how MetaProp's Lab can support your business, provide you with a fractional AI officer to help you future-proof your operations and enable you to innovate seamlessly, keeping pace with the fast moving world of AI, which I think a lot of us might be struggling with. But enough about me. Jeff, for our audience, how do you get involved in the MetaProp AI Lab? How did you meet the wonderful team there? And then I guess in short, what is the big aim behind it?
Sure. Great. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. So yeah, I've tech startup entrepreneur myself and have been doing some AI consulting over the last few years. I'm also an advisor and investor in MetaProp. And so have seen a lot of the companies, especially recently the AI companies that come through there. And so seeing a lot of the challenges they're trying to solve. And so it just made sense to kind of real estate industry is very complex and which makes it a fun, hard, challenging problem to solve. And I think AI is a great tool to help solve some of those problems. And so, yeah, so about 3 months ago, we decided to kind of form this entity, taking everything we've learned about prop tech over the years and those portfolio companies, and start our own little AI consulting firm to help companies adopt AI.
Amazing. What's sort of the proposition in the next 3 to 5 years? And I guess that's so difficult in a world which is ever changing. But what distinguishes you from other AI consultancies out there right now?
Yeah, certainly we're real estate specific. So again, a lot of people we've talked to, some of them are using other AI firms, and the complaint is we're teaching them about real estate on our dime, right? And so they're spending, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of institutional, foundational understanding about all of these processes and workflows and how they work. So yes, that's one way we're differentiated. We also just come out of the MetaProp world. And so again, exposure to all these portfolio companies to see what these innovative tech startups are doing kind of on the cutting edge. So it allows us to kind of bring that lens to everything as well. Yeah, kind of where we are today, a lot of companies are still, I think, talking and thinking about AI. There's some doing, and there's even fewer doing it well, I would say, or successfully. It's hard to do well. Right now, it's really about kind of us being the translators to help bridge the gap between what's possible with AI, the capabilities, and what the real estate operations are today. It's really about speaking both languages fluently. It's about speaking AI and knowing what's possible there, understanding real estate and the needs there. So again, that's what we do, is we speak both of those languages fluently. Kind of the evolution, what people aren't ready for today, which is what we're trying to prepare them for, is the idea of integrating. The data is everywhere, right? And it's disorganized, and some of it's organized. For AI to really for you to really leverage AI, your data has to be accessible, organized, and usable. And usable is a whole other thing about giving AI kind of this layer of intelligence to understand, what is a lease, and there's some solutions out there for that. But so it's kind of where we move to, is kind of orchestrating AI to kind of use all of this data across the operations, and then kind of from there just becoming an operations partner. AI isn't really a project; it's a kind of a continuous capability evolution as we kind of grow and expand. And so just helping them continue to grow and adapt. So, almost like you have an IT person, company, they don't go away. You have an AWS partner, they don't go away. AI is not going anywhere. Every company is eventually going to adopt it. And so we're just going to kind of partner alongside of them.
I guess that adoption, I guess we sit from, obviously, we do a lot of hiring for your portfolios. We love that. We adore the partnership. But with change, obviously you'll have to change the types of skills for the business. You've got to change the relationships between the different teams. That, with further client adoption, obviously it leads to, change management. That causes, as we spoke about very briefly earlier, is the cultural change that happens in a business. What are the top barriers are you seeing among real estate clients, some of your portfolio, and how can you help them overcome these challenges?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's people, and so people are complex and have their own stuff going on too, right? So yeah, the first thing is replacement anxiety. Is this coming to take my job? So really try to frame it as augmentation. We're trying to get rid of the work that you don't love, the grind of copying, pasting, or writing up the same report you do every month. So trying to take away some of that stuff, which is helpful for a lot of people. There are barriers, kind of the I don't trust it. I think executives intellectually get AI, but again, still have some trust issues. Certainly the employees have some trust issues. So it's really about transparency and reasoning. Just like your math teacher said, show me the work. We like our AI to show you the work. That the best thing that an AI can ever say, and the way we designed it, is to say, I don't know. Like, it's a very powerful answer and very creates trust there. A lot of times we use ChatGPT, other things, and it always has an answer, right? Whether it's right or wrong. And so the power of an AI saying, I don't know, helps kind of build trust. The other thing is just people saying, we've tried it before. Some of them have, had false starts, whether it's the business folks, developers as well. Oh, we tried using AI. It's so-so. A lot of it's just about not understanding how to use it well. I mean, AI fluency, it's like learning a second language, and it takes practice. You don't just sit in a boot camp and suddenly I know how to talk to AI and get all the answers that I want. It takes practice.
Yeah, well, I guess also we're just saying, I mentioned to you about the change we've seen in types of skills that need of the new jobs which are coming to market. Obviously, your chief AI officer. I mean, I don't think many people know what chief AI officer does, or they definitely didn't a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't think that many people know now, but all these new skills are sort of needed for, I guess, successful innovation. But this kind of leads me really well into the next question, which is about how can you measure like the impact, what are the successful AI use cases in real estate, where it's predictive analytics, workflow automation, like agent assistance, like how can you measure the ROI there if
Sure.
As you're saying, quite a lot of clients, it's been hit and miss.
Yeah, it's the tactical ROI, it saves me this amount of time, this many hours, like that's easy. The strategic ROI is a little harder. What it's great at, the biggest impact, document processing. We can go from, whether I'm reviewing an OM that comes into my inbox, we can cut that down to seconds versus, 20 minutes, an hour, underwriting, all of these document heavy processes, easy wins, right? Very clear, easy to validate. Lead qualification responses, whether it's a broker or insurer or lender, like they're getting leads, and we know that usually the faster you turn around, the more opportunity you have to kind of close and get that business. And so AI is great at that. Can increase engagement. It's available 24/7 to answer questions and engage in that way, and can also be personalized. Transaction coordination, is not super exciting, but for these processes, you're talking about all of this back and forth communication with all these different people and stakeholders and documents, and the ability for AI to manage that and keep track of what's still missing and what do we still have to do. And that's where the balls get dropped, and that's why deals take longer in any capacity. And so AI is great for that. Takes the cognitive load off of the humans, so they don't have to think about all that.
I was going to say that slightly ties into maybe another where some people are like somewhat apprehensive. They're like, oh, is that going to get rid of my job? I think it makes you do whatever job it is. It makes you more optimal. You're not doing the mundane tasks. There'll be more deals happening. You'll be way more effective. But I feel like that is another negative association with the evolution of AI and these analytics and workflows that are coming.
Yeah, I mean, AI is a relationship business. AI can't replace that. AI can help you actually build and maintain quality relationships, I think, at scale more easily than you could now. So it's actually, I think, going to be very helpful for that, letting humans do what we do best, which is, again, maintain relationships, problem solve, make decisions, collaborate.
Or whoever is watching this, Jeff, the way you're sort of coming across, I think people might assume that chief AI officer might be super, like, guys, everyone, Jeff is like an engineer. He is super smart. He is super technical. But the way you are talking about this, you're making it sound like it's all sort of achievable. And I think a lot of people on the real estate side, I'm guessing, but this is just from feedback I've had, they are nervous with that transition. Like, will I understand it? Will I be able to keep up? What you're talking about seems quite simple processes people can put in place, but they've obviously got to start engaging with you, and you can talk them through what are the first steps to getting involved in the lab.
Yeah, what's funny, I'll just add a story, is recently we met with a couple different clients, and in prop tech, traditional SaaS, real estate's been slow to adopt some of these things, and there's a lot of risk there, so it's understandably. Recently I was in a few different meetings with prospects, and it was kind of the seniors managers of the company, and they would have a 22-year-old intern on the call, and they were there to talk about AI and really just brag about their 22-year-old intern that figured out some AI thing for them over the summer. And they're sad because they're going away to school, but they wanted them to share with me what they had done. And so really just kind of open their eyes to what's possible. This 22-year-old, 23-year-old intern, it's just very different than a traditional SaaS, sales process. It suddenly, I see what's possible, and it's accessible to a single person, a team, an organization, and I can unlock, at any level. So I think that's why it's a little different this time. But yeah, for engaging with us, we try to meet people where they're at. Some people kind of come in with strategy first. We want to figure out our master plan before we just jump in and build a bunch of stuff. And maybe they've done that already a little bit, so they're kind of ready to zoom out and figure out what they want to do. Some people just want to build first, and hey, we have a specific problem. It's a huge pain. It slows us down. We want to close more deals, go faster. We can just dig in with that, or learn first. And it's again coming in. So many companies have ChatGPT for their employees. Claude, Copilot, whatever, but no one's taught them really how to talk to it or work with it. Again, I talked earlier about AI fluency, and the biggest leverage point, honestly, if you don't adopt any other tools, is just put these tools in the hands of your employees and teach them how to use it, how to talk to it. It doesn't even need to have connect with your data. I mean, it's just, there's so much leverage just in that that's available.
What about, okay, so I'm just thinking about some of them of MetaProp's, largest LPs. I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure a lot of them have legacy systems and a huge amount of fragmented data. Like, how do you approach integration, data quality, risk mitigation when deploying AI solutions there? Like, I'm sure people are thinking, right, where do we begin? What do we have to do? Is it going to cost us a lot to replace that? Can we still run these solutions alongside?
Yeah, great question. So yes, having talked to some of the large companies, they still have data problems. They're still fixing, they've been working on for 5 years, right, to move this stuff over to this system and over to that system. So it's a bit of a, never-ending battle, I think. For other firms, we have to kind of meet the data reality where it is, and we can do both. We can kind of plug in AI with the data we have as it is today, and look at moving it, organizing it, making it more usable, accessible for AI in the future. So try to do both, be pragmatic and strategic at the same time is kind of how we like to approach it.
I guess also for MetaProp, because you guys have so many great investments and access to different solutions out there, you can probably help them to build something in-house, but also maybe can you make recommendations for, other, solutions out there to which are sort of quicker to scale, maybe?
Certainly, yeah. I mean, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. If there's something out there that's great, certainly we make recommendations. Sometimes AI, the layers we're building are just the glue. It helps us talk to each other better, or be the last mile of helping the human interact with all these things. Sometimes it's we have a company we talked to recently, a few that are really doing it well, and they kind of have a new problem is we have 10 AI tools, which are awesome, but nobody really knows which to use for what. And so now the evolution becomes now centralizing it into a hub, right, of just one place we all go to use our AI. And so, I mean, that's kind of eventually the vision we'll get to, companies will get to.
And what about, let's talk about the ethics, trust, and governance side of things. Ethical AI, before I talk about ethical AI, to be honest. So how do you sort of handle that in terms of like bias mitigation, model transparency, data governance? Like, how can, I guess, some of your clients, and I keep saying this because the MetaProp's clients, they're huge, right? They have so much data, as we spoke about. How can you almost protect their stakeholders there and all the data that's involved?
Yeah, what's
Maybe
interesting? Yeah, I mean, it's a trade-off. I mean, we again talking to a company, they had an AI committee, right? And it was their chief risk officer, some 2 other people that basically the only answers were going to be no, 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 no to do anything with AI. And so you have to figure out what are the guardrails where we can experiment and play, because it's the only way you're really going to learn is to experiment and play and figure out how it's going to work with your data for your use cases. And so, the larger companies have teams, they have, AI teams, generative AI teams that they put together and are doing this stuff, where the gap is in the mid-sized markets, smaller markets. They don't have, in those companies, you have shadow AI, which is people bringing their own ChatGPT and plugging God knows what into those models every day. And so we're trying to just get them at least away from that so that everybody knows what we're using as a starting point and kind of go from there. So it's kind of all over the place, to your point. And but yeah, the big companies certainly have lots of processes and systems in place from looking at those models from bias and all the things we check the boxes on. And again, and the stuff we do for our clients and prospects as well is picking the models that certainly invest in safety and all those things. And again, tests. The easy thing is it's easy to build something with AI. We can vibe code, we can do all kinds of things and spin up something that's cool and works pretty well most of the time. To build something that's reliable, production grade, 99% of the time is what's really hard and takes experience and having done it wrong and seen all of the ways it breaks. And then you set up tests for those things. And that's really the magic is how big is our test suite? How many ways have we tested all of the edge cases that this the thing could go off the rails. And that's really I guess what the experience teaches you is how to do that well.
Those listening in, if you want to see, I don't know what your organization may be, whether you are a CTO of a small to medium to large size real estate firm, technology company, if you go on to metaproplabs.com, there's literally it's like 3 questions. And you can work out the organization. It's ready for AI. You take the assessment. It's got 9 questions. That should take you about 5 minutes. If you're CTO, it'll probably take you about 1 minute. You'll be like a little whiz. The second part is they research a company and analyze your situation. And then you get a personalized assessment report instantly. So that can sort of save you a bit of the pain. And everyone's so busy. It's like the end.
Yeah.
It's Q4. We all have pressure to meet certain targets, get those deals in. But Jeff, is there anything for like whoever's listening into this, what they should know about MetaProp Labs that we haven't covered?
Yeah, there's no it's time to start now. It doesn't matter the shape of your, don't wait till, well, our data needs to be in better shape. Well, we need to figure this out. We need to figure that out. The time to have the conversation is now, and to have the conversation with somebody, whether it's us or somebody else that has experience and can guide you in the right way. The gap is going to widen so fast between the companies that are out there doing it and not doing it, and it's just going to be hard to catch up. So not to scare everybody, but I mean, it's a bit of a reality. The companies that we see that are doing it really well are really getting a huge advantage on their competitors. And so yeah, and I guess that's the biggest thing is it's okay not to know. It's okay. Again, I don't know where to start. I don't know what we could do. No problem. That's where we start to have the conversation. And again, they can certainly talk to us about that. And we'd love to help. Love
that. I saw on your website that if you obviously use AI, you can improve productivity by like 46%. There's over 50+ solutions you can use. There's something for everyone, but obviously the strategy will be tailored to said business. So like, if I was the owner of a big real estate firm, I'd definitely be in touch. I mean, at 𝐿MRE, we use AI. We're constantly trying different like solutions because I want my team who are salespeople selling. I want them building relationships. Unfortunately, AI can't really help them that. Hence why we're at every bloody event. That's why I'm doing this interview, Jeff. But like, I don't want recruiters doing any of the admin stuff. That's not what recruiters are good at. So I think I'm super excited about this. And I wish obviously MetaProp and you the best. And thank you so much for joining the interview. And I will see you in New York very soon.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Enjoyed it.